Or feel like you're just drowning in crypto news sometimes, and you wish you just had someone to guide you through it. Well, that's what we're here for today. Welcome to the deep dive. We're going to plunge right into the latest on Pi Network and its crypto, Pi Coin, looking specifically at where things stand right now, mid-July 2025. And this feels like a really critical month for Pi. I mean, we're seeing some pretty wild price swings, lots happening with their ecosystem, but also this really interesting mix of, well, optimism and some pretty serious concern within the community. So our mission today, cut through all that noise, pull out the key stuff, give you a shortcut to really getting a handle on what's actually going on with this very interesting project.
Yeah, and that shortcut is, well, it's more important than ever, I think, especially with projects like Pi, because trying to understand how a project like this, with its unique community-first kind of approach, how it handles these challenges, that gives you real insight into the wider crypto world. So we'll definitely look at the exciting stuff, the progress they're making, but also, yeah, those criticisms that keep popping up using the info you gave us, of course.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's kick things off where a lot of people look first. The price. Pi Coin's performance. And it's been, well, quite the ride, putting it mildly. Right now it's sitting around 0 and 45 cents. 45 cents, which for anyone holding, that's going to be tough. Because, I mean, it hit nearly $3 earlier this year. That's a huge drop, over 85%.
Oh, absolutely huge. An 85% fall. Yeah, that tests anyone's belief in a project.
Yeah.
And if we dig into why, the main reason seems pretty clear. Token unlocks. We're talking over 300 million PI tokens hitting the market just this July. That's roughly $162.71 million worth. And there's more planned for August and September.
Wow, okay, so a flood of supply.
Exactly. And basic economics tells you more supply usually means downward pressure on the price. And analysts are definitely warning about it. They're saying, if that dollar satural support level breaks, the price could dip even more. Coin Codex, for instance, they're looking at maybe $0.33 by mid-August.
Oof. Okay, not great news there. But there was a little bit of positive movement recently, right? A bright spot. The Pi Day 2025 Ecosystem Challenge. That ran, end of June to early July.
Yeah.
It actually caused a little price bump, about 3.4%. Small, yeah, but it does show these community things can still, move the needle a bit.
It does. A small spark, like you said.
Yeah.
But zooming out, the bigger picture, Picoin's still down 10% over the week, 19% over the month.
Right, and we should probably mention, it's not just Pi, right? The whole market, Bitcoin, XRP, they've seen dips too.
True. Context is important, but what's really fascinating with Pi specifically is just the sheer range of price predictions. It's kind of wild.
Okay,
Well, you've got Coin Codex, like I said, down at 33 cents by August. Then CoinDCX is a bit more stable, maybe $0.52 through July. But then you find other analysts who are way more bullish, talking $2.38, maybe even $2.80 by December this year.
Wow, okay. That's optimistic.
And some are looking even further out, like $5, even $100 by 2026, 2027.
$100? Seriously?
Seriously. But then, flip side, you have Wallet Investor predicting it could crash to like half a cent, 0.00553 by 2030.
Goodness. So predictions are literally all over the map, from $100 down to basically zero.
Exactly. It just highlights the massive uncertainty, the volatility surrounding Pi right now.
Okay, so with that huge range in price guesses, it makes you think, what's actually happening inside the project? What are they building? Let's shift gears then, talk about the ecosystem developments. Because, despite the price drama, they have been busy. A huge step was the open mainnet launch, right? February 20th, 2025.
Yeah, that was significant. Yeah. Finally enabled actual real-world transactions with PI coins. That's what everyone was waiting for. And they claim a really big user base, over 60 million engaged users. 18 million of those apparently KYC verified, know your customer. And by January 25, they said over 8 million had actually migrated their mined Pi onto the mainnet.
Okay, those numbers sound impressive. 60 million users.
They do. But here's where the critics jump in. Coinfomania, for example, points out there are only about 9.1 million actual Pi wallets created.
Wait, 60 million claimed users, but only 9 million wallets? That's a big gap.
It is a significant gap. And it definitely raises questions, How many are really active? What does engaged mean? It feeds into the skepticism around their user metrics.
Right. That discrepancy is definitely something to keep in mind. But okay, going back to that Pi 2-day challenge you mentioned, that did seem like a real burst of activity. 2.6 million people took part.
Yeah, 2.6 million participants, and over 760,000 actually completed it.
And they actually built stuff, right? Like apps.
They did. The numbers were 7,600 chatbot apps created and over 14,000 custom apps developed during that challenge.
And staking, too, people locking up their Pi.
Yep. Over 16,700 users staked 37.7 million Pi coins in total. And right now, there's about 25 million Pi actively staked across more than 1,450 different apps.
Okay, so whatever the wallet numbers say, that level of activity, building apps, staking coins, that shows a pretty committed core community, doesn't it?
It certainly suggests strong engagement from a significant portion of their user base, yes. Development is happening. And beyond the community challenges, they've also inked some new partnerships. Names like Zipto, OnRamper, OnRamp Money. They've been added to Pi's Know Your Business or KYB list.
KYB, so vetting businesses using Pi.
Exactly. It helps legitimize things, improves the potential for real transaction utility for PI coins, making it easier for businesses to potentially integrate Pi.
Okay, and wasn't there some talk about Binance, a potential listing?
There's been buzz, yeah. InvestX mentioned it, but stressed it's unconfirmed, still just rumors at this point. But rumors like that can create excitement.
Sure. And what about that big ventures fund, $100 million?
Right, the Pi Network Ventures Fund. That's a pretty major move. It's aimed at funding startups, specifically in AI, fintech, e-commerce, areas where Pi could actually be used in the real world. The idea is to boost those use cases, show Pi can be more than just, something you mine on your phone.
Got it. So building out the business side, the use cases, what about the tech itself? Any updates there?
Yes, they just released Node version 0.5.3 on July 11th, and they've rebranded the Node software as Pi Desktop.
Pi Desktop, okay. And what does that new version do?
Well, the goal is mainly improving accessibility, making it easier for people to run nodes. And it supports better integration with other tools, like their Pi App Studio, which is interesting because the App Studio uses AI to supposedly simplify building apps on Pi.
Using AI to lower the barrier for developers.
Exactly. If it works, that could potentially bring in more developers, more apps, and maybe drive wider adoption of the whole network.
Okay, so lots happening on the building front, which brings us to maybe the most complex part. The community itself. What's the general feeling out there? Because it sounds like, well, a real mixed bag right now.
That's a good way to put it. Definitely mixed signals.
Yeah, like you go on X, formerly Twitter, right? And you see some users really buzzing, excited about the partnerships, the Ventures Fund. They see these as steps towards, mainstream adoption. Like BSC News highlighted this July as a critical month because of all this. Lots of positive chatter.
Right. There's definitely optimism.
But then you see the other side. People really worried about the price drop, obviously, and especially about those token unlocks we talked about. Was it 276 million Pi unlocked just this month?
Yeah, 276 million in July alone. That's about 3.7% of the current circulating supply hitting the market. It's significant.
So people are understandably nervous about what that does to the price they're holding.
Understandably. And this ties directly into the broader criticisms that Pi has faced for a while now. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the critics consistently point to a few key things. One is centralized control, the perception that the core team holds too much power.
Right. That's always a concern in crypto.
Absolutely. Then there are those user numbers again. That gap between the claimed 60 million and the 9.11 million wallets.
Okay.
Is it inflated? Concerns about the tokenomics potentially being inflationary. And also criticisms about how the project has been funded, relying on ad revenue perhaps, and the time it took, the delays, in getting to a fully working mainnet. A-Invest highlighted some of these points.
Okay, so those are some pretty serious criticisms. Centralization, user numbers, funding.
They are, and they hang over the project.
But, despite all that, the community is still really active, isn't it? You mentioned PiFest 2024 earlier.
Exactly. That's the counterpoint. PiFest last year reportedly had over 27,000 active sellers and 28,000 test merchants using Pi in 160 countries.
Wow. So even with the criticisms, there's this grassroots energy, people actually trying to use Pi.
Precisely. That level of real-world experimentation and engagement is hard to ignore, even if you're skeptical about other aspects. It shows belief, dedication, something.
Yeah, it really does paint a complex picture.
So wrapping things up, it really feels like Pi Network is at a crossroads right now, a critical point. On one hand, you have the promise, that huge potential user base, if the numbers are even close, the very active community, these new developments like the App Studio, the Ventures Fund, all pointing towards maybe a more robust future with real utility.
Right, the potential is there.
But then you have the risks, the very real price volatility we've seen, those persistent worries about transparency, about centralization. It's this constant tension between the vision and the execution, the promise and the problems.
So what does this all boil down to for you listening in?
Well, I think it just highlights how crucial it is to think critically in this space, especially with crypto. Pi Network is maybe a perfect example of a project where the story, the community excitement, the tech, it all mixes together in really complicated ways.
Absolutely. Due diligence is key.
Exactly. Do your own research, look at all these different pieces, the good, the bad, the confusing, and, be cautious with any potential investment. It's vital. And maybe here's something to think about after we wrap up.